power of discipline. Here we go. It takes a lot of discipline just to actually do this right now. When I first started out, I wasn't like this in terms of what I'm doing now. When I first started out, I remember like the amount of pressure I felt to be in front of a camera was enormous. And that discipline that took was for me, felt like a mountain on my shoulders. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. I remember when I first started, I would get on camera, and when I first get on camera and I'd watch myself right afterwards, I'd watch when I was looking at the recorded video, I would see my mouth, it would like shift to the left in terms of what I would be doing. And that was really difficult. And just watching yourself like that was really, really something, because it allows you to see how people see you from the outside. So what does it take to go on the inside and see the discipline that you actually carry? And this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you 3 main points. And it's for me, as I was going through my own transitions and some of the things that were moving towards growth, building success in different ways, discipline is the key. And I know we hear this all the time in terms of what is discipline, what is the definition of discipline. Stay tuned, because I think this one will give you something a little bit different to actually listen to. And I think that will allow you to actually form a different definition of discipline. And saying that, let's actually move right into it. So what is discipline? There's a power inside of us that we all carry, and it's constantly moving us forward. But the thing is, in the moment, when I make this decision, it has a ripple effect towards the future in terms of consequences, burdens, on relationships, on finances, on my own spirituality. There's many things that will be affected in the future. Discipline is the key to actually do that. There's a beautiful narration that comes to mind when I'm thinking about discipline. And it says to do work in times where you feel like it or not. That is very powerful, because you have to discipline your own emotions on the inside first. So what is the first thing I really want you to take away from this presentation? The first thing is understanding that discipline is connected to regret or gratitude. How does that work? That's really something phenomenal. My future me is either going to feel regret or gratitude based on the decisions I make today. That is really something. I'm either sending myself a gift in the future or a burden of consequences that I have to hold on my shoulders, maybe for a long time. There's also a beautiful narration here, see, where it says, small consequences, but huge burdens. In terms of these kinds of things, discipline will lift that burden off your shoulders if you make the right decisions today. So how is then decision-making in the moment connected to regret in the future or gratitude? So let's take that into place. So discipline, the definition I want to give you here, in terms of really thinking about this, protecting your future you, your future self, the person you are going to become tomorrow, protecting that person from you today. When you make decisions that are harmful for you in the future, long-term gain, short-term pain is different than from short-term pain and long-term gain. Sometimes we choose the pain in the future because we want the gain of the immediate now. That is the difference. But I have to also choose yes or no to a decision, and now or later. So let me give you an example. If everybody knows that smoking is not good for you, but sometimes I'm going to smoke anyway, and I actually think it's better for me to smoke because I enjoy it. So I say yes to smoking. I enjoy the moment. Short term and saying yes versus long term and saying no. I'm protecting my future health. So saying no becomes an option here in terms of that. So I say no in the moment, and I'm thinking long term of who I am. I'm protecting me in the future. That is really something phenomenal when you think about it this way. So let me give you a really cool example that it resonated with me when I was going through this stuff in terms of the setup and the process of thinking. Think about taking a $100 bill and putting it inside your jacket pocket. Think about that just for a second. Your suit pocket. Suits are not worn all the time. But imagine I put that in my suit pocket. And next year, I don't wear the suit till next year. Next year, I'm looking around in my pockets. Let's say I lost something and oh my God, I go inside, I pull out a $100 bill. How am I gonna feel? That's a really cool example to understand how you actually send gratitude or regret towards your future you. If I find that, I'm gonna get a shot of dopamine. I say, hey, I found $100. Wow, but how do you feel about you making that decision way back then? Now, let me give you something very, very simple. Give me another example. If I drink coffee every day, but imagine before I go to sleep, I actually put in the water into the machine, I put the cartridge, and I put the cup. And imagine when I wake up the next day, all I have to do is press the button. I'm moving faster. So when I send myself future consequences that are beneficial for me versus future consequences that are going to actually hurt me, I'm either with every decision, I'm putting a brick onto the wall that I'm going to hit, or I'm actually laying down more track and I'm going to go faster and faster and faster. I'm progressing in life, I'm elevating in life, I'm evolving in life, or I'm constantly pushing myself into the basement and I can't get past my own decision making. Now, think about this. Let me go one more step with this, then we'll jump to the next point. Think of affecting yourself with your own decisions, but imagine when you start to affect other people with your decisions. So it's not just about you. You can take responsibility for your own decisions if you make a mistake. But imagine you make a decision and you hurt other people. Imagine somebody's in the car with you and you decide to, speed or just be a little reckless and you get in a bad accident and the person next to you gets hurt. That was your decision. But now you're not just sending consequences to yourself. You're sending consequences to other people in terms of who they are in the future. And then imagine that person gets crippled. Now that's a one-way ticket that you cannot bring back. But you made that decision. Think of the regret you're going to feel in that moment. That's how we send gratitude or regret to ourselves in the future. That's the first point you got to understand. So if you want to really live a great life, be prepped in your decision making. So others, when you're driving, they trust your decision making. And especially, guys, just on the side, just for the guys, also for the girls, but and my sisters, if you want to get married, and if you're a man, you want, and if you let's say you're going to be provider for the household, you're going to lead the house, and you're going to do what you need to do as a man. And let's say if you're a woman, you're the one that's doing that. Let's just be open in terms of what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, imagine that in this moment, the person who's sitting in the passenger seat trusts your decision making. That is something completely different. But imagine they don't. You know what they're going to try to do? Grab onto the steering wheel all the time. They're going to be looking over the windshield. And they're going to tell you, hey, why are you making this decision here? Why did you go left here? Because they become insecure with your decision making. So think about that. It not only affects you and your future, it also affects other people who are around you. So that is enough to get you to really start to think differently about decision making. That's number one. Number two, when you send that decision forward, okay, and now you're in the moment and you're either feeling that gratitude or you're feeling that regret. Every choice creates a receipt. I really want you to think about that. Like, imagine, I'm actually I have a directory in my own brain about exactly what is happening to me, but my brain is actually starting to remember that. And I'm creating a reputation with myself. What that means is this. My brain, if the second, I'm going to a little bit of neuroscience here in terms of the wiring of the brain. When I'm constantly sending myself decisions into the future, I'm constantly doing that. And my decisions are not always the best. And I'm always getting that touch of gratitude, or I'm sorry, the touch of regret. What do you think is going to happen with my reputation with my own self about my own decision making? And what's going to happen to my own self-confidence and my own self-esteem and my own self-worth? So it's detrimental to the inside. You start to cave onto your own self. So forget about the world. Forget about the consequences. Think about the consequences that are going on to the inside. When you're constantly impulsive in your decision making, you don't take the time to think before making a choice. And when you make that choice, you're constantly touching the fire. That's not fun. Now, I want you to think about what happens if this is consistent and you're constantly in the fire and you can't get yourself out. And now your finances go wrong. You have an issue there. In your relationships, you start to go wrong there. In your own development, you're hurting yourself. Spirituality goes out the door. I'm not praying anymore. I don't care about any of that stuff. My own community, I hate everybody. The world sucks. My own health, I start to gain weight. Everything else starts to happen differently for me. I don't go to the gym. I'm done. I don't keep up on my appointments. I'm not taking care of anything anymore. My life begins to fall apart. Discipline sews all that together. When you are disciplined, you become responsible towards your finances. When you are disciplined, you become responsible towards your relationships. When you are disciplined, you become responsible towards your own character and building that. When you are disciplined, you become responsible for your relationship with God. When you are responsible, you become, in terms of your own community and setting that up. When you are disciplined, you create that responsibility towards towards categories, and especially in your own health. So discipline requires you to be responsible to time manage between those categories. That's what it does. So on the inside, when you start to allocate certain time for those categories, you are now taking control of your life. What this does is it builds a lifestyle. And if you have a lifestyle of discipline, I guarantee you the fulfillment that brings, and that's point number 3. Discipline is self-love. It's taking care of me. When I resist the now and I say no, I'm taking care of me. Let's say I'm pre-diabetic and I see a piece of cake. You guys know where I'm going with this. Let's say I'm about to study for an exam, but I like to play PlayStation. Let's say I have a meeting and I need to prep. And it's a big meeting, but I'm scared. Discipline comes in and it's your best friend. And your best friend will allow you to actually succeed tomorrow or actually feel that regret. So when you take care of you, you can take care of other people. But for you, in order for you to take care of you, you have to have that discipline. Now, in closing, I'll say this. It's beautiful for us to really take care of ourselves, take care of other people, take care of every relationship that we have. But if you want to live a disciplined life, there's a beautiful scenario that I could put together for you. And every day, do this. Just take 20 no's a day. Tell yourself 20 no's a day. What does that mean? Simply put, let's say I'm in the office, we got food, and then they got some ice cream. You eat the food, no problem, but it's time to eat the ice cream. Instead of putting 5 scoops on your plate, put 1 scoop. Tell yourself no for the other 4. Simple things like that. Once you start to move discipline into place and you're thinking about the decision in the moment and you're not being impulsive, that's how you start. Small little decisions, that's the key to actually developing a disciplined life. It's those small little choices, the small wins that you have to win every day. Do that 20 times a day, and I promise you, you'll begin to rewire your brain. Because neuroscience, if you look into that, some say about 21 days, some say 66 days. I'm going to go with 40 days. Build the habit habitually. And once you build that habit of discipline, the will that it takes in the beginning is everything. But after a little while, when you habituate into a habit that allows you to actually be disciplined automatically. So you just need the will in the beginning and the discipline in the beginning, then the habit just takes over and it becomes automatic. So get the small wins to win yourself in the future. And next time, I'll see you